Frag Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of Frag Radio. And here with you today is your boy Pradius and
your boy Death from Above.
Once again, so it's been a couple weeks since our last episode. Last time, we did Ori and the Blind Forest, talked a little bit about Warframe. Of course, since then we've had a pretty huge update on Warframe with a lot of new content added. Borderlands The Handsome Collection came out. A few other games we got to review. So, but before we get into it, want to, of course, get those plugs out there. Number one on the list is, of course, the big one, Appy Gamer. Appy makes you happy. You can get that on Android, iOS, Windows, pretty much anywhere. Appy's everywhere. And then, of course, Gaming News and Reviews. You can get Gaming News and Reviews on Android and iOS, as well as Game RSS on Android. And then Game On, shouts to Troy, on Windows Phone and iOS, in addition to Filter Gaming. And of course, you can always catch us on Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iTunes, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, fragtagradio.com, all the usual suspects. We're everywhere. And but yeah, so check us out wherever feels most comfortable for you. And with that, few talking points before we get into the reviews of the week. Number one is this rumor going around that, it's 2K is working on this Joe Montana football game. Now, we know that much is a fact. It's true. Joe Montana himself has even tweeted about it. So they're making this Joe Montana football game, but the big question in everybody's mind is it just going to be a football game with Joe Montana and a bunch of no-name players, or is it going to have the official NFL license and be Joe Montana NFL 2015, 2016, whatever? So now, of course, EA has had the exclusive license for the NFL with Madden for the past who knows how many years. It's been a long time now. Probably going somewhere on a decade. It feels like forever they've had it. But so the whole thing with that was, since they had that license, nobody else can make an NFL football game. And now we're hearing these rumors that there's this loophole in the contract. Now, we know that EA has renewed their contract with NFL for that license. So the rumors are that there's this loophole in the contract to where a company like Microsoft or Sony could theoretically have an exclusive NFL game for their platform that wasn't Madden. So that's how supposedly 2K is being rumored to get around this loophole. Supposedly they've signed this deal with Microsoft to be the publisher, and Joe Montana is going to be this exclusive football game for Xbox One, and it's going to be officially NFL licensed with Joe Montana NFL, and these are the rumors. So now we've got some friends who feel pretty strongly about this, and of course they want it to happen, and a lot of them like to think that it is happening. I think they have it in their minds that they just want this to happen so much that to them it's already happened, even though it hasn't. Now, to me, I think it doesn't make one bit of sense, because Microsoft has a very, very good working relationship with EA. And we've seen this multiple times since the start of this generation. You got EA Access exclusive to Xbox One. Now, granted, that was offered to Sony as well. Sony turned them down because they probably thought it was going to be competition for their PlayStation Now service. But whatever, that's exclusive to Xbox One. Then they worked out the deal for Titanfall, which is and always will be exclusive to Xbox One, the first title. The sequel is probably going to be multi-platform, Titanfall 2. That'll probably come to PS4. But then you had other timed exclusive like Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, Peggle 2, and then exclusive and timed DLCs like the Ultimate Team for FIFA, or this DLC for Dragon Age, which is a timed exclusive on Xbox One. They've had a really great relationship with EA, and they have got a ton of stuff going on with them uh, big benefits to Xbox One, their relationship with EA. So I just think that there's no way that they would jeopardize that relationship over a football game that may or may not sell. Now, people who are super big fans of football, which is a fraction of gamers out there, a fraction of gamers are also gamers and football fans. Now, Madden does sell well every year, but of that Madden fan base, how many of those are die-hard Madden fans, and how many are looking for a new football game like this Joe Montana? Now, I think our friends are in the latter. They're tired of Madden. They think it's been the same thing every year. They want Madden to have competition so bad that they want to believe this rumor about this Joe Montana NFL football being exclusive for Xbox One. But so you take gamers who are also football fans, gamers who are also football fans and tired of Madden. That is a very small fraction of players in the grand scheme of things. And I do not think I don't think there's any chance, not even a small chance, that they would jeopardize their relationship with EA over this small fan base of players on a football game that may or may not sell. And those are my thoughts on that. But Kevin, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that as well. I know you've probably heard about this stuff as well, and I know, like me, you're not really a huge sports fan. But I feel as us not being sports fans, we can look at this from the inside or from the outside looking in and see the bigger picture. Whereas people like our friends who are hardcore football fans are kind of blinded by the fact that they just want competition for Madden, that they want a new football game.
That's definitely true. I'm not really a sports, guy, but I see that this rumor it can be a double-edged sword, as you said. We
Right.
do. I know a lot of people who buy Madden every year, and even though they buy it every year, they do say they're tired of the same thing, that there's nothing new to it. So with this actual rumor, if it is true, it would be competition for Madden. So Madden is gonna say, listen, I need to step my game up and put more content or whatever they feel is missing, make the game better. Um,
Right.
as for the the relationship between EA and Microsoft, I don't think this game would jeopardize that, because that relationship is on a business front. It's not like where you and I are friends and money will come between us. Xbox is going to continue to shelf out that money. Oh, excuse me. Microsoft is going to continue to shelf out that money for um, all these exclusives and all these time exclusives that they get from EA. So I don't think that's going to be affected by this game that's going to be on this single platform. I think, again, like, if it is true and it does come out, let's say it does come out, let's say it comes out sometime this year,
Right.
you're going to get a fraction of people who are hardcore Madden fans or who play Madden is going to go out and try this. Excuse me. They'll probably rent it, or they'll have a friend and they'll borrow it, or they'll probably have a demo, and that will determine which one they buy. But I don't see all these people going to give up Madden. I see them, if they want to give this a try and actually go out and buy the game, they're going to own both games, and one of them is going to dominate over the other. Because if we look at look at what was it, NBA 2K and NBA Live, for the longest time when I growing up, Live was that game to play. Like when 2K came out, it was like, oh, it's not as good as Live. Look at Live now, look at 2K now. Totally the opposite. So hopefully, if this is true, it will help EA and Madden to step their game up to put out better quality.
Right.
That's my thoughts on it.
Um, yeah, I mean, I definitely think that Madden could definitely use some competition, and 2K would definitely be the ones to bring that competition if anybody out there is capable of doing it. Now, that being said, like I said, I don't think that Microsoft will be willing to jeopardize what they have going on with EA over a single football game. And of course, EA will always be happy to accept money from Microsoft for exclusives and things like that. Now, obviously, EA isn't doing none of this stuff for free. Microsoft is most definitely paying them for that. But look at it this way, or I'm looking at it this way, of like how politicians say with trickle down economics. If Microsoft is paying EA for exclusives A, B, and C, and then they come out with this football game and it starts selling a bunch and it's cutting into EA's Madden profits, which Madden is a huge chunk of EA's profits. Madden, FIFA, and BioWare games like Mass Effect and Dragon Age. Those are the really only four big games that EA has these days. So Madden is a huge chunk of their profits. Now, if they start seeing that they're losing a bunch of profit because Madden isn't selling as much because of this game that's been brought out by Microsoft, will they still be willing to sell exclusive stuff to Microsoft? Absolutely. But they're going to need to make up ground for the money they've lost due to Microsoft with this Joe Montana football game. So what they would do would be raising the prices of this exclusive content. So suddenly, if Microsoft wanted this exclusive stuff, they would have to pay more money for this DLC or exclusive deal for Titanfall because they have investors, stock market stuff, bottom lines. They had to keep their profit margin where it is or better every year. Our stockholders are going to get upset. So to make up for that lost ground, that lost money, and to justify doing exclusive deals with the person who is the company who is taking away a huge chunk of their profits, the only way to justify that to stockholders would be to raise the prices on that exclusive content to Microsoft. So, and would Microsoft be willing to pay these jacked up prices for exclusive content? Maybe, maybe not. I personally don't think so. I think they'd rather just go to a different publisher like Activision or Ubisoft and spend that money elsewhere. And then at that point, you would see the relationship between Microsoft and EA fractured and slowly start breaking down. And then you'd probably see Microsoft starting to side or get closer with somebody else like Ubisoft or Activision, which could be for better or for worse. But right now, Microsoft is fighting an uphill battle with Xbox One. As you know, I'm a huge Xbox fan, love my Xbox.
Amen.
But even I know,
mine too.
yeah, but even I know Microsoft is fighting an uphill battle with Xbox One. PlayStation 4 is ahead a good 8 to 10 million in sales right now. So Microsoft has a lot of ground to make up. Do they have time to go fracturing relationships with one of their biggest partners like EA and then turn around and start working on a new relationship with somebody else like Ubisoft or Activision on some other stuff in the middle of this console war that they're fighting? Because Microsoft wants to be number one. They want their console to sell the best, whereas Sony, they'd probably be happy just as long as they're selling well, whereas Microsoft has that win attitude, which I'm kind of the same way with the things I do. If I'm playing a game, then I'm going to play to win. If I'm writing an article, I'm going to write the best damn article I can. If I'm going to do a podcast and record the best show, absolutely I possibly can. So I can be with them on that. I've got that play to win attitude in everything I do. So I just don't know if they have the time, the money, or the manpower to risk everything, for lack of a better phrase, on a single football game that may or may not sell to a fraction of football fans. I think there are football fans out there who overestimate their numbers.
Let me interject there real quick thought. But if that's your thought on it, then they can't invest in any new IP then, because that IP is going to collide with somebody. Look at Titanfall. Titanfall was the quote-unquote Madden killer, and it is a really good game. Should have Microsoft actually said, listen, we want this exclusive for Titanfall, even though we have partnership with for the Call of Duty franchise where we get this exclusive. Are we going to step on those toes? No, because Call of Duty is going to sell because of its name alone. It's the same way Madden's going to sell.
Right. Well, yeah, Madden's definitely going to sell either way, regardless of what happens with these rumors. And as far as the Call of Duty thing, I think that's one of the last exclusive deals that they have with Activision right now. Because if you look at last generation, Microsoft had a lot of exclusive deals going on with Activision. Not just Call of Duty, but other games as well. And if you look at last generation, EA was more sided with Sony last generation. They were given more exclusive stuff to Sony. But with this new generation, it seems like the tables have kind of switched. Activision's working a little bit more with Sony these days. Look at the exclusive content for Destiny, which is, an Activision published game, and then other games as well that they're doing exclusive stuff for Sony. I think Call of Duty is really the last really big deal that Microsoft has going with Activision. And I wouldn't be surprised if whenever that contract runs out, whatever year that is for their Call of Duty, their contract for exclusive Call of Duty content runs out, I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see that renewed.
I think it'll get renewed because
Because,
I think it's going to get renewed because let's
well,
just throw numbers out there. Let's say they say, listen, we'll give you $20 million for um, this um, DLC up front.
right,
That's $20 million guaranteed, regardless of how well the game sells, regardless of how well the DLC sells.
right,
So they, that's $20 million. Even with, like you said, Sony has the lead. And you do know that there's those Call of Duty fans on both consoles. So when Call of Duty, whether it drops at the same time on both platforms, a month later, 2 months later, those DLCs are going to drop on both consoles no matter what. They're going to sell on both consoles no matter what.
right,
Now, you mentioned Destiny, where Destiny has a DLC plan and with PlayStation where they have a year.
right,
You and I both have walked away from Destiny for a little while. Take a little break because we're getting burnt out on it. We want to be renewed in it when we go back to it with the new DLC. Do I see myself playing, going back to old Russia, and all these DLC parts for the strike missions and all that is going to come out in September? I doubt it.
right.
A month,
Which pretty
yes,
much kind
we'll
of
play it,
kind
but
of
not a
leads me
year.
around to my point. There is like that's another reason I don't think that they would be renewing it. One, Call of Duty is selling less and less and less every year if you look at the sales numbers. Now, granted, they're still putting up millions and they're still going to sell millions this year, but those millions seem to be slowly going down each year. And Battlefield's been significantly, seems like, picking up sales each year. And I don't know about Hardline because that was kind of a spinoff. But is it when you look at exclusive contracts like with Call of Duty, that DLC is only exclusive to Xbox for a month. If I'm a PlayStation fan, that's not really, or gaming on PlayStation, don't have an Xbox, that's not really a huge deal to me. I can wait a month, 3 or 4 weeks, and then download that content later. That's not going to make me choose, one console over the other. But like with Activision and Destiny, with a year exclusivity, if I'm a huge Destiny fan, and Destiny is all I care about, then a year of exclusivity is huge. I'm going to choose PS4 because I'm not going to want to wait a year to play that DLC.
Yeah, but at the same time, look at your friends list. My friends list have grown significantly because of Destiny. People who want to play with you, do raids with you. I granted that Destiny is that game that it has its teeth in all those people who play it. Um, but if I look at my friends list, the time spent on Destiny from, I'm going to say a month ago, I'm not even going back to a month ago, has significantly reduced.
Right,
So if with Destiny, the next game, these next DLCs, if they don't step their game up, they're going to lose a lot of customers. It's the same thing with Call of Duty. That's why those numbers are going down. People want to see what like Battlefield is doing with the, if I shoot a tank at a building, that building is going to collapse. So there's going to be a hole in it. They want that. They want that realism. And
right,
that's where Call of Duty has been going towards, but Battlefield is there already.
right,
And that's why those numbers are starting to, the scale is tipping one way or the other. And it's
right.
always going to be like that. And then, and we know We and I have been gaming since we can hold the controller in our hand. There's always going to be something new. There's always going to be better, more competition. There's going to be stronger competition, and that's what we want because us. That's what makes these companies say, "Listen, we can't do what we did last year. We need to step a game up." And honestly, that's what Sony did. PS3, the numbers were low. They said we can't make the same mistake, and I have a PS4, and from what I've seen on the PS3 and the PS on the PS4, definitely they stepped their game up, and I
Right.
can understand why it's selling the way it is. Where Microsoft, their head was, I'm sorry, their head was too big for their shoulders, and they didn't want to do what the customers wanted. I would have loved to have that 360 interface on the Xbox One with all the improvements that the Xbox One have. But unfortunately, these companies are going to give out what they want to give out. And hopefully they learn from their lessons and they learn from their competitors what to dish out.
Right. Like I said, I think as we go on to this generation, you're going to see more of whenever someone signs down timed exclusive. Those timed exclusive deals are going to be longer. Like you got Activision and Destiny on PS4 for a year, and then we've got like this Rise of the Tomb Raider for Xbox One. That's supposedly time deal, but it's from what I hear, it's the same type of deal as they had with Rise and Dead Rising 3, which means a year from now that'll come out on PC, but probably won't ever come out on PS4 if it's the same deal they had for Rise and Dead Rising 3. But then you've got other time deals like the ones they had with EA for Garden Warfare and Peggle. Those were for like pretty much a year also, almost a year later before Garden Warfare came on PS4, almost a year later before Peggle, things like that. I think when we see the timed exclusives this generation, it's going to be more of a lot longer duration for the times. Whereas I think last year, or our last generation with Call of Duty for a month, I think a month was enough then. But I think now people have kind of gotten privy to that and gotten smarter, and they're like, a month ain't nothing. I can wait. Doesn't matter what console I'm on. So for it to matter, if for Microsoft or even Sony, if I want to lock down a timed exclusive, for it to matter, it's gonna have to be at least 6 months.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at like recent deals like the one they had with BioWare on this Dragon Age DLC, people were asking the dude from BioWare on Twitter, how long is this timed exclusive for? And he's like, I'm not allowed to say. So not only are they locking it down for longer, but they're putting it in the contracts that the developers and publishers can't make public how long the timed exclusivity is for. Because because if customers know in their mind, oh, it's going to be a month, oh, it's going to be 3 months, then they'll be more likely or more willing to wait. Whereas if, I know it's a times exclusive, but I don't know how long it's going to be on there. Could be 6 months, could be a year. Then they're probably more likely to go out and buy the console or buy, this game or that game on this console rather than wait and take the chance of finding out how long this exclusive period is for.
Right. Well, we know that um, if you're a hardcore for whatever game and that time exclusive is on whatever game that you want, whether it's a month or so, you're gonna go for that console that game that you want to play that you're gonna be exclusive to. You're gonna go to that console anyway.
Right.
And we know, regardless of what it is, we all gonna go where our friends go,
Yeah.
not where the games are no more. Because pretty much, if it's not um, first company IP, it's gonna be on both consoles more than likely, and we're
Right.
gonna go where our friends go. That's why more or less we both got Xbox One. That's where our friends us. You know, Granted, we may not be the biggest Sony ponies out there, but we're gamers. We're gonna play what we like to play wherever it is. It doesn't matter where.
At the end of the day, that's for sure. And, I think Joe Montana football aside, whether or not that happens this year, Microsoft already has a really good lineup of exclusives this year. I mean, Halo 5 alone plus Rise of the Tomb Raider, two huge exclusives for this holiday season just by themselves. And then with this news of Uncharted 4 getting pushed back till next year in 2016, Sony's really lacking a good exclusive for this holiday season. So unless they have an ace up their sleeve or something they've been holding on to close to their chest for the last year that they can reveal at E3, then I think Xbox One is going to sell really well this holiday season, regardless of whether this football game happens to come out or not.
Speaking of the Uncharted thing, I bought my PS4 for games like Uncharted, uh, God of War. Those are the ones I bought my PS4 for. With
Right,
Uncharted being pushed back, as of right now, what we know, Sony has no, no IP of their own coming out. They don't have anything that's exclusive to them that is a console seller.
right.
So right now, if I didn't have either console, and I would go with what's coming out alone this year, and if I'm a gamer and I'm gonna play it all, no matter whatever it is,
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna go towards Microsoft because that's where the games are coming out. But again, we are what, 2 months, a month and a half away from E3. There is no way Sony is gonna say oh, we have nothing this year. See you later, guys. There's no way. They have something that, in my opinion, I think they're gonna blow everybody out the water. Will it be a system seller? I don't know, but I know they're holding on to something, and it's probably gonna be one of the biggest secrets actually kept because nowadays with today's internet,
Well, that's what I'm
nothing is a
saying. I'm
secret.
sure they have a surprise for E3, but I don't think there's any way they can have a surprise for E3 that's been kept under wraps this long for a game that can come out this year. I'm sure they have a huge surprise for E3. I'm sure Microsoft does too. Hell, I'm sure Nintendo probably has a big surprise for E3. Everybody always tries to have that one big surprise, but it's never for a game that's coming out this year. It's
That's
always
true.
for a huge game that's going to be coming out next year, and they're just getting everybody hyped about it ahead of time. So I think the only way they come out with a surprise at E3 for something that's coming out this year is if they've pulled a Microsoft and gone to a third-party publisher or developer and locked down an exclusive of a game that's already been in development. And then they went to them and then they were like, look, we were going to have Uncharted come out this year, and we had to delay it till next year. We need something for this holiday season. We'd like to lock down your game as an exclusive to fill that slot for this holiday. And then possibly maybe then they might have locked something down for a surprise in that way. Similar
That's
to,
true.
to what Microsoft did with Tomb Raider.
Yeah. And if that happens, that is a huge surprise. Can you imagine if, you go into E3 and then we hear something like, "Oh, Madden is only on Sony this year." You know, that would freaking take a lot of people away from Microsoft. I'm just using that as an example. Don't go out there quote with me on that. I'm just saying that.
Right.
Can you imagine if something happens out there? Something like that happens.
Well, speaking of things that we'd like to happen this year, Alan Wake HD remaster for Xbox One is something I would absolutely like to happen this year. And anybody who's listened to this show knows huge Alan Wake fans right here.
I played Alan Wake because of Frag Radio. And if this is true, when this game comes out, I'm not gonna listen to you like I did last time and play it at 3 o'clock in the morning with my headset off, with my headset on, excuse me, because I couldn't sleep that night afterwards. It wasn't that it was scary; it was just so intense. Like you
Right.
didn't know when them jump moments were coming, and that's what I loved about Alan Wake. That it put you in his shoes, where yeah, you could have you could fight back and everything, but you didn't want to because ammo was precious and you didn't know when you needed it.
Right.
And you want me to play it on an HD? Yeah, I'll be playing that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with the stereo and the kids running around, so I won't be scared holding the wife's hand. You're not getting me this time, P.
And while they're at it, I wouldn't mind a remaster of the Alan Wake's American Nightmare either. Maybe put both of them into one big package. And if they added co-op to the Fight Till Dawn mode, oh, that would be icing on the cake right there.
I think if they do an Alan Wake HD, it's probably gonna be like the Alan Wake collection where we'll get both games, at whatever, probably $40.
Yeah,
Cheap if you had it, if you've got, on the 360, because I've been noticing a lot of companies been doing that. If it's download and you you owned it previously, you'll get it again at a cheaper rate.
definitely. Well, yeah, I definitely hope that happens. And I guess with that, speaking of scary games, we can segue right into this game, Slender: The Arrival. Have you heard of this game? Do you know anything about this?
I know. I think it was a PC game.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. When it comes to PC and games, I know nothing, nada. I was actually looking at this in the in the store, and I was like, should I get this? Should I get this? And again, I'm still on the fence. I said, oh, you got a review. Let me take your review on it, and that would determine whether or not I get it or not. So give us your review, brother.
All right. I don't know. Have you played Outlast on the Xbox One?
No, that was the first game I actually played on the PS4.
So you played it though.
Yeah, I'm still in the sewers.
Right. So this game kind of reminds me like that, where it's a sort of survival horror scary type game, but there's no combat in it. Um,
So all I got to do is run?
Pretty much.
Oh, crap.
So now, mind you, this game just came out on Xbox One and PS4, but it came out on PC back in 2013. So we're talking about a game that's about 2 years old here. It came out on 360 and PS3 last year, and now this year on Xbox One and PS4. So it's pretty much on all the consoles now, so you can get it anywhere.
So hold on. I know on the PC it's called the Slender. On the Xbox One, it's Slender The Arrival. Is it the same game or is it anything different?
Well, it's, yeah, same game as on 360 and PS3, Slender: The Arrival. The original game on PC was called Slender: The Eight Pages or something like that, and it was just the same type of game, and you had to go and collect these 8 pages without the Slender guy catching you or whatever. And it was a really short game. So what they did was they took that concept and stretched it out into a longer experience and added more stuff to collect than just the pages. Now, so the result with that is it's a very scary game. My son has actually played this game as well, and he couldn't play past the first 10-15 minutes. He had to put it down, come downstairs, talk to me about it, because he was scared shitless. So,
How about you?
um, yeah,
Did you have?
I was feeling a little scared. Probably nowhere near as intense as like Alan Wake, but it's pretty close to the intensity of Outlast, I would say. Um, but yeah, so it's a scary game. Now, 3D environments, you go around. In the first Slender Man, the 8 pages one on PC, it was just you in the forest. But now with this one, it takes you through a bunch of different locations. You go through abandoned homes. There's some mines, cave type stuff. Some hillsides that got the sun beaming down on them. Some autumn forests, and then like some homes that you go through and rummage through looking for pages and objects that look like they were recently lived in. Um, so while you're going around looking for this stuff, you're pretty much avoiding the Slender Man, and it's really scary when he shows up because you'll just see like his silhouette in the distance, or hear a sound. I think what really drives home the scariness and the immersiveness of this game is the ambience and the sound effects are what really nail home the experience of this game. I think if you tried to play this game on mute, you would probably think it was boring and not very good at all. I think the sound 100% sells this game. So if you're gonna play this game, definitely play it with the sound on. Don't drown it out with music or anything else. Otherwise, you're gonna be getting a fourth of the actual experience that you should be getting. There's all sorts of creaking and whispers that you can hear in the distance, and different things that you're going to need to pay attention to. audio clues, things like that. I would say definitely, just like I did with Alan Wake, play it in the dark, late at night for maximum experience. But
Yeah.
and you might want to play it in the afternoon with the lights on.
Yeah, with the kids screaming. Definitely with the
But
kids screaming.
but yeah,
You're not
it's a pretty good game, and it's only $10, and I think it's actually on sale right now for like $6, like an
yeah, for like a
introductory
month or
sale.
something like that. It's
Yeah,
like
on
a
the
week or
Xbox
something
One
like that.
store. So hopefully you can get it for that price. If not, I would say $10 is a fair price. That being said, the gameplay can last anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours. It all depends on how much you want to search around and find all the collectible objects and this and that. But that being said, you could probably speed run through this game in about 20 minutes if you really wanted to. So $20 for 10 minutes, or excuse me, $10 for 20 minutes. You know, it'd be easier to recommend if there was a demo for this game. But that being said, even for $10, I enjoyed myself with it. I think it's worth $10. You might not. I would say probably 3 to 3.5 frags on Slender The Arrival. And if you're still not convinced, go on YouTube, look up some gameplay videos of it, watch a little bit, and kind of get the feel for it yourself. You could probably also watch some people live streaming it on Twitch for a little bit. But
Okay.
if you do, I would say watch just long enough to know if you're interested in the game or not. Don't watch too long, or you'll have watched the whole story, and then there will be no reason to play through the game.
Okay.
Um, Now, with that, the next game that I've been playing for review is this game Shiftlings, which is the uh, the second game to come out of publisher Sierra since Activision brought back Sierra as a name, a publisher. This is a sort of puzzle platformer where you play as these two little dim-witted alien janitors, and they're in like this reality TV show, and one of them is bigger and one of them is smaller, and they're attached by this little tube thing. Um, it can be played co-op, which is actually the way I suggest playing it. It's a lot funner to play as co-op. Playing by yourself, you got to switch between the characters, and the controls can feel a little bit awkward playing by yourself. But when you're playing co-op with a friend, things really come together, and I think that's the way that this game was actually kind of meant to be played. Um, you can change the size of the aliens by drinking this special fizzy cola stuff. And when you drink that, you change their sizes, and which you will need to do to overcome different objects and solve puzzles while you're doing the platforming. Uh, like I said, one of them is larger and he's a lot more bouncier and movable, while the other one is quarter smaller
Okay.
and more mobile and a little bit faster at getting around. Um, every level there's this machine that the two bugs have to fix before they can access the exit of the level, which is like this portal thing. Um, puzzles as far as I would say difficulty is up and down. Some of them were really easy. Some of them were actually rather difficult as well. Um, there's a good mixture of platforming and puzzle solving. You're not just constantly platforming. You're not just constantly puzzle solving. The controls themselves are actually pretty simple. You can walk, you can jump, and you can switch sizes between the two characters, and that's it.
Okay.
Those three things, and of course, you use the thumbsticks to move around. But yeah, controls are super simple. There are enemies in some levels, but you can kill those enemies by doing the old Mario bop on the head, jump on them, jump on the head, boom, they're dead. There is one or two types of enemies that can't be killed at all. The only way to deal with them is to just avoid them, get around them, solve the puzzle, get out of there. They just can't be killed. But the
Okay.
majority of the enemies that you run into, they can be killed via the bop on the head thing. Um, there are some collectibles in the forms of those bottles of the fizzy cola stuff, although there's no real incentive to collecting them, so I don't really see myself doing it or going back to collect them all. Um, yeah. Now the soundtrack is actually pretty good for the game. It's got a little bumpy little soundtrack, and the announcer of the TV show is actually pretty funny as well. Um, but I would say, due to the difficulty of the puzzles, some people may be frustrated by Shiftlings. and some may really enjoy it. If you're the type of gamer that really enjoys a challenge, like you're really into Mega Man and other platformers that can get really challenging, and then you'll probably really love Shiftlings. If you really despise games like that, then Shiftlings probably isn't the game for you.
Okay.
Um, that being said, I would say probably about the same rating as Slender, probably 3.5 frags on Shiftlings. And with that, Borderlands: The Handsome Collection, both me and you have it.
Yes, sir.
I, I've played through, of course, a decent portion of Borderlands 2, and maybe about a quarter of the way through the pre-sequel. But I know, in general, you've played a lot more Borderlands than I have. So, what have you noticed different from the last gen version of, say, Borderlands 2 to this gen in terms of the graphics and the audio and
Oh,
stuff? Does it look a lot better to you?
I recently fired up the Borderlands 2 on the 360 because I knew the Handsome Jack collection was coming out. And when I turned it on the one, I immediately know the difference of the clarity. Like you could tell that it was stepped up, that it looks a lot more prettier on the new consoles rather than the last gen consoles. It definitely looks a lot better. Um, it I had a character on the 360. I fired up my 360. I uploaded it to the cloud, turned on the one, and downloaded my character. 3 seconds, I had my character to play on it. I've heard people have problems with it. There've been a few glitches like the badass ranking. Some people have don't have any of their badass ranking. Like they probably had like 300. Some people more hardcore than me having the thousands and fired it up and had zero. Have to
Right.
start all over. Where some people have lost weapons, money, gold keys. Um, I didn't have the only problem I did have was the badass ranking, which for those who don't know, the badass ranking is you complete little challenges, kill 5 enemies with this gun, kill 5 enemies with that type of gun, um, and that gives you a point, a badass point, and you use those points to enhance your character, whether it's your shield capacity, health capacity, ammo damage, ammo accuracy, grenade damage. All type is like 10 different variations of what you can use to upgrade it, and you get a percentage. Not
Right.
much of a percentage, like 1% will be increased or something along those lines.
Now,
Um,
badass ranking, that's the one thing that carries over between characters. So, like, if I create another
yes,
character, then it'll have the same badass ranking as my other character, right?
yes, that does go between characters, which some people like to play it hardcore and they turn it off, which you can do, or you can turn it on and play it. Like you said, it goes with every character. It's just one badass ranking all across the board for all your characters. Doesn't matter how many characters you have.
Nice.
Um, the I'll start with Borderlands 2. Pretty much the same game, just looks prettier, and you can have four-person co-op, which I have sons, I have brothers. We like to co-op together. It is a pleasure that I can play this game in four-person co-op because my brother was over here for the weekend, and me, my brother, and my son, we was playing it three, going at it with three of us on the screen, which was really cool because we was never able to do that before. We had to have two 360s. Um, that was a graded plus to it. The only problem, the only hiccup that I saw was, which is understandable, is that when there are a lot of enemies on the field, there's a lot going on. So to have to render that 3 times, 4 times, you do get that little bit of a lag, which is not a problem because it's not online. So therefore, the enemies are like they're experiencing it too. It's not like you'll see him over here, and then because of that lag, the next thing you know, he teleports over there. No, he'll still be moving at you. It's just like at a hiccup pace.
Right.
Uh, um, the pre-sequel, I didn't play on the 360. I had a feeling it was coming to the one, and I barely turn on my 360. I'm more on the one. So when I started that up, first thing I did, I wanted to see what it was like. So I fired it up, played it by myself. I chose Willem, which is one of the enemies you fight in Borderlands 2, because this one is the takes place after Borderlands 1, but before Borderlands 2, letting you
Right.
know how Handsome Jack came to power. And you're working for him as mercenaries to help him out. And pretty much Borderlands 2, I went through the whole game solo. I was able to solo that game. I had fun with that game. With this one, I didn't feel compelled to play it alone. So I think after about an hour, I turned it off and went and played another game that you and I we'll talk about in a minute. Um, and I said this is a game that I'll play with, let's say, with you or with other friends or my siblings and my kids,
Right.
because that's the type of game you have to play with people. Like you will get overrun really quickly. Um,
Right.
and Willem is a class that he has two. If you play the Borderlands 2, you have those flying drones that come around and they heal the enemies that you're doing damage to, or if they healed everybody on the field, they'll come out and drop grenades at you and do damage to you. You have two of those. One that
Right.
does damage, one that attacks, and one that keeps your shield up. So even with using that character, it wasn't it it didn't feel I didn't feel compelled to play it alone. Like I was getting overrun and finding myself being taken down really quickly. And this is playing, oh, I'm by myself. Let me move away from battle. Still going down real quickly. Um, but when this weekend, my brother's, like I said, my brother's been over, so the three of us has been going at it. We've probably been at it for maybe about, I'll say, probably got 4 hours in the game, and we're having a blast playing it like together with using our golden keys, getting better guns, looting. Um, me being the adult, I get the better guns, I get the better stuff. You guys get my leftovers. Same way I used to do to my brothers back on Nintendo and Sega back in the days. I'm still doing it down. Yeah, that's right. I'm a loot ninja just like you, P.
Yeah.
But
Now, I did notice with the pre-sequel, there's this whole, since you're on the moon, there's a lot less gravity, and there's this air mechanic where you got this oxygen mask thing, and you can use it to like boost jump and some other stuff.
ground pound, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I really haven't been finding myself use the ground pound right now because being I'm still a low level, I'm only a level 10. I'm not really doing damage to enemies using it. But that jump, like it's part of the game. Like you have to use this jump. Like there are parts where you doing platforming. Like I just did one earlier today where we was going across basically we was on a like a volcanic part of the moon, and there was these I guess small little islands that led to the next portion of where the next waypoint was, and you have to jump on them. Granted, they're large pieces of island; they're not little itty bitty ones that you can fall off. But you know that platforming sense is there.
Right.
Um, Pretty much it's Borderlands. Blow stuff up, grab weapons. The only difference is with the original two, you only really spoke that I noticed when you wasn't moving around. Where now your character interacts with the other characters. May not be much. Like one of the missions I did, I had to find this guy, and when I found him, he was dead. And the guy, he hit you on I forgot what their form of communication was. He's like, "Oh, did you find your friend?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Is he alive? How's he doing?" He's like, "Nope." It's like real quick answers. Maybe that's the character I'm playing with right now, but I noticed Claptrap is a lot more talk. He's Claptrap. He's a lot more talkative. He's a lot more interactive with the environments. He talks about like what's going on around him. Where Wilhelm is more like the silent type. Like he's the soldier. Like yeah, I'm the silent but deadly type. So
Yeah.
it,
I picked the chick with the cowboy hat. She's like a gunslinger or something.
right, the Lawbringer. Um, that's who my brother's playing. She's from what I see, she's pretty cool. Like when you activate her abilities, she goes from she goes from target to target.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's also in Borderlands 2. She's one of the side quests that you and I did, where we had to go to, I forget the name of the town. We went and it was like a westernish town.
Right.
And we went there, and one of the missions was to actually kill her,
Oh,
which,
okay.
she was a little bit of a boss because she had her deputies with her. She's the sheriff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's all right from what I've seen my brother play. She seems pretty cool. Um, like I said, I'm not really into the game yet. I haven't really gotten great guns, so maybe it hasn't picked up for me yet. It seems to be a little bit slow. It's not as fun as um Borderlands 2. Maybe it's because with the lack of Claptrap being a character who constantly spoke to you,
Right.
because he did bring the humor to that game. Maybe that's what was so great about it. But Handsome Jack is always calling you, and he's pretty much the dick that he was, before, but now he's more of a humanitarian. Like, I guess the bad guy of the game, she
So
shot a
is
cannon.
Handsome Jack as funny as he was in Borderlands 2, or have they toned that down a little bit, or?
It seems like he's there, but he's not there, like that funniness is there, but it's not as funny because before he was funny where he was a dick, where he was like, yeah, I'm gonna call my pony Butt Stallion,
Right.
where now he's more of the family oriented funny guy because he's the good guy right now. So he's not in charge. He's not the dick that we got come to know and love
Right. From Borderlands 2.
from Borderlands.
Um,
So yeah,
I guess yeah, overall, I think they did a great job with the remaster. I think Iron Galaxy, the guys who did who are doing Killer Instinct, they actually did
right.
Borderlands 2, and then there's another studio that did the pre-sequel. I can't think of the name of that studio, but yeah, Iron Galaxy did the Borderlands 2 remaster, and another studio did the pre-sequel remaster. But all together, both of them look really great. Not only do because when I put it Borderlands 2 into my 360 to upload my cloud save, I had forgot how jagged the edges were
Yep.
on the 360 version of the game. And on Xbox One, all the edges are really smooth, everything's really smooth. And I also noticed that the colors look a lot more vibrant
Yes, sir.
on the new console, whereas they kind of look washed out a little bit on my 360 compared to the Xbox One.
Yeah,
So that was pretty cool
definitely.
too. Um, I don't know what kind of score you're thinking. I'm probably thinking probably 4.5 frags for the Handsome Collection. What are you thinking?
I totally agree with you. Is that I'm gonna lean more towards four and a half because of that the local co-op. That's a
Right.
big plus in my household. Your household is different, everybody's household is different, but it's a big plus in mine. So I'm gonna give it the 4.5
4.5.
for the
Nice.
total collection.
Yeah, for both games. All right, so the last game we got to review today is this game called White Knight. This is another survival horror type game. We done talked about 3 scary games on the show today, but yeah, so this one is probably the best out of the 3 indie games that I came to review. It's
Okay.
kind of half mystery, half horror type of deal, and everything's in black and white, which kind of creates the atmosphere for the game. It starts out you're driving down this road by yourself, and all of a sudden you hit this lady, and then you get out of the car and you look, and then there's this big mansion, and then that's pretty much where you go and where the story takes place. And as you go and you play through, you learn more about the mansion itself and who this lady was that you hit, and things like that. Now, there's no real enemies to speak of in the game aside from some ghosts like apparitions.
Okay.
And you can't kill them, but you can make them disappear by turning on the lights. Being it with the white and black color art style, there's a lot of play on light. You're either looking at pitch black or you're looking in the light. So now you can turn on lights, and that will make a ghost apparition go away. Or there's also matches, like you can get matches as well. And as you know, matches burn out really quickly. So
Yes.
that kind of adds to the suspense of the game if you're trying to make it through a certain area with matches, and then as soon as it goes out, you're in the dark, and you're like, oh shit, you gotta light another one. And what even makes it kind of more realistic is the match doesn't light every time you try and light it. So sometimes you'll have to
Nice.
strike it, 2 or 3 times before it'll light. and I thought that was a kind of a nice touch.
Should have seen Alan Wake and got a flashlight.
Yeah. There's definitely some predetermined camera angles when you're going through the game. You don't really have a lot of access over the camera, but I would say that's not really a big downfall for the game because the camera angles that are chosen are chosen really well, and it's kind of you could tell that the game was meant to be played from these predefined camera angles.
Okay.
Um, Turning different corners will lead to different viewpoints. Which changes the camera angle. You turn this corner, the camera angle changes. You can see this over here. You turn this to over there, and by looking at the same room from different views, different angles, you're able to see things that you weren't able to see from another angle. And that's what you'll need to do to kind of solve the different puzzles and the things that are needed to progress in the game. I think the whole play on the darkness and, like I said, with the matches and the light and the ghost, really adds to the tension of the game. We talked about puzzles earlier with Shiftling, which is a completely different game, but it was a puzzle game, and this is also a type of puzzle game as well. The difference here is that the puzzles aren't super hard. They're not super easy as well. But instead of being hard, that you just have to think. And if you think and you're able to actively think, you'll be able to solve these puzzles. Some will come to you quicker than others, but the ones that take a little bit longer to do, when it does come to you, you'll be like, oh man, why didn't I see that? From the beginning. So it feels a lot more rewarding when you kind of do finally solve the puzzles in this game. Um, a lot of the puzzles are kind of typical stuff, finding an item and then using it in another location, a la Resident Evil. It's like you find a key card here to open this door, sort of like that a little bit. But some of the
Right.
other puzzles are completely self-contained, and will take a little bit more time to figure out. There are a lot of subtle clues in the game that you're going to want to look out for. Pay attention to everything you read, everything you come across, everything you see, because you never know when something you come across here might have something to do that you come across with later over there. That being said, the game itself probably takes about 5 to 6 hours, which I think is a good runtime for a game like this. It's not too short and it's not so long to where it overstayed its welcome either. Um, like I said, I had a really good time with White Knight. Really good survival horror game. The puzzles are really well thought out. I like the scary and the suspense of it with the light and the dark, and you got you using the matches and the things like that. I would say a solid 4 frags for White Knight. Really good game. If you're into these type of games, definitely
Okay.
worth checking out. And if you check out any game that we've mentioned on the show today, as far as indie arcade games, I would say this would be the one to check out. But yeah, so with that, just want to we've been playing a good amount of Warframe lately. I know you just got
I,
into it about a week or so ago,
I,
and I've been kind of trying to help everybody along because Will's gotten back into it and he's really going on it now, and then we've got other friends like Blue and Prime and Ace. So how have you been enjoying the game so far before we get into the Stolen Dreams update?
when I coming from Destiny into this game, Warframe was so overwhelming to me. Like it was so overwhelming. Like I literally was like, I'm not playing this no more. But you constantly said, I'll help you, I'll help you. You push me through it, you push me through it, and then I start to learn the aspects of the crafting, what I needed, and stuff like that, and what everything was. Now I can't stop playing it. I'm freaking trying to get all the Warframes. I have like 11 right now, and I got what 3 Prime now, and it's a really fun game. Like, um, I find it more fun when you're definitely when you're playing with friends.
Yeah, for
When you're playing with
sure.
other, because it makes the missions so much easier and so much more um more fun. Where if you're going at it alone, you feel like I've done this, okay, because those missions can get really difficult really quickly.
Yeah,
Um,
especially on the higher tier planets for sure.
I find one of the enemies that I hate the most, that they're so easy to kill, but they come at you in numbers, is the infected.
Yeah.
And they come at you, and you're like, oh, I can handle these guys because your gun is so powerful, your weapon, your level's so powerful. 10 seconds later, there's like 30 on the screen, and you're, yo, I'm down. Can somebody come get me? Like really quickly. But I'm really loving this game. Like you constantly make jokes saying how now I got Frost Prime that he's not special no more.
Yeah.
I I love Frost, so I said I got to get Frost Prime, especially being that he is no longer available through actually playing the game. Um,
Yeah, only way to get him now is if you trade for him.
yeah, and you better have money to trade from because I've seen the highest I've seen so far right now is 700 platinum. And how much is it? Platinum, you get 75 for $5.
Yeah,
You
they
talking
are
about
three hundred and
700?
seventy for $20. So
Two times that's $50 for one character. That's ridiculous.
yeah, that's insane. And there's
Yeah,
mods from past events that you can't get anymore. People will sell a mod for 700, 800 platinum too. So the prices can get pretty crazy, which kind of let you know when those events come around, you want to get the stuff from that event before it ends because once it's over, not only are you not going to be able to get it again, but even if it's something that you don't want, you're going to be able to sell it for a good amount of platinum.
right.
If you hold
And
on to
especially
it,
when you
wait.
level it up too.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
I definitely
The
got to
higher
finish
the
this
rank of the
spy.
mod, the more it's worth.
Yeah, I definitely got to finish this spy 2.0 then. I'm probably gonna need your help because right now I'm freaking stuck on this last one, which they actually did a great job from what I understand. Like the spy 2.0, you just basically have to get you get three locations and you have to freaking get to the location, hack without being seen on camera, being seen by the enemy, base anything.
Right.
Um, if you complete one, you get X amount of reward. You complete two, you get a little bit more. If you complete all three and get to your, and extract, then you get even better prize. I'm on the one mission where I have to get all three. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I have to get all three. And I despise spy games. I don't play Metal Gear Solid, Assassin's Creed because I don't have the patience of sneaking around. And in this one, not only you got to sneak around, you have to be quick about it. Your timing has to be on point. Not even with the solving of the puzzles, but like one of them is like you have to. There's this one part when you open a door, there's a hole in the floor, and if you fall through the floor, you activate the infrared lasers. That'll set the alarm.
Right.
Then behind that, there is a laser grid that goes up and down. So you have to use your ninja skills where you got to run on the wall, but your timing has to be perfect, and you got to run through the lasers. You got to run before the lasers touch you. If you hit the lasers, you set off the alarm. And some of them are really difficult because once you set off the alarm, the I guess the
Data
larger
starts
doors
purging.
close.
Yeah.
Those big doors close. And you can't get in the room where you got to sneak into. I've got to the third one, and the doors closed on me, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" So I was like, "Yep, got to get me some spy guys in here. I'm probably gonna get you to help me out with that one."
Yeah, they can definitely be challenging sometimes. Even outside of the Stolen Dreams quest line, you can do them on the different planets, the new Spy
Yeah,
2.0. And if you are able to complete them flawlessly, doing all three, you can get special mods that previously you were only able to get from past events. And people were selling those
nice.
mods for 400 or 500 platinum before the Spy 2.0 came out. So it's pretty cool that we can go back and get a lot of those mods now, especially since we came into the game later and missed out on a lot of those mods, so that I don't have to
Yeah,
try and pay 400 platinum for a mod that I can get in Spy 2.0 now.
right.
Um, they also added the first Prime Arcwing, Odonata Prime, which is definitely pretty awesome looking. The next Prime frame just came out, which is Volt Prime. Who knows what the next one's going to be? And then on top of the Spy 2.0, they changed around and tweaked some of the existing frames, made some of their abilities more powerful. Um,
Okay.
change some of the loot drops in different locations. Um, some new Sayadanas, I think they're called, which are like capes for your character that you can
Okay.
get by doing the different syndicates, which are like the factions in Destiny, and leveling those up. Some new weapons. They got like these dual pistols that have blades on them that they added.
What I gotta say about that faction thing in this game, where greatly surpasses on Destiny, is the fact that um, if you join this faction, they're at war with the other faction, and it's like um, I was on a mission one day, and I'm playing it solo, and then my screen flashed thread. So I'm like, oh, maybe that was just the lighting of the ship in the area.
Right.
So I'm going some more, and it flashed again, and I'm like, oh, okay. Then this figure came on the screen, and he was like, um, something like, because you sided with them, now you must pay the consequences. And then I felt like I was in Star Trek because like 20 enemies just teleported directly in front of me, and
Yeah.
I got wrecked. I was like, what? It was like, and I
Yeah,
was
the
like,
enemy factions, they'll definitely send people after you, man.
I'm like, that is amazing. I could imagine freaking fighting someone like Omnigul, and then the Dead Orbit send some from faction after me. If they had did that, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Destiny needs to play this. Bungie needs to play this game and take some points for what they could do with their next game, or hopefully the DLC that comes out in September, and do something to make me want to continue to play get back into Destiny, because the grind for both of these games can be real, especially when you got to take those tests.
Yeah, no, master test ain't no joke sometimes. That's for sure. I was with Will. Well, I actually took my rank 11 test. What was it, Friday or Saturday? And yeah, it was Friday. And then I failed it just barely by like half a second. I was like, damn it! And I got to wait 24 hours. So then I took it yesterday and I passed it. And then Will was about to rank up yesterday. He took his test and failed it. So now he's gonna have to take his test again today and see if he can pass it today. So yeah, those
Yeah, I
master
got to play
tests
that
can
game.
definitely be no joke sometimes.
I'll probably be on there after 11 today, wait long after you be off, because I know you got work tomorrow morning. I don't have work in the morning. So I'll probably be on there after tonight, because me and the kids will be watching WrestleMania tonight. So that's one of the ways I spend time with my sons. You know, they into wrestling. They like the John Cena.
Right.
Um, I can't stand Cena anymore. I used to like him back in the days, but for the wrestling guys who do listen to the podcast, I hope you enjoy your WrestleMania tonight. But back to gaming. Yeah. When is this Warcraft? When is he dropping? The dragon looking one. I forget his name.
Yeah, well, Chroma, he's out on PC now, and it'll probably be about, I'd say about 3 weeks or so, and he'll be dropping on the consoles. And he'll also be coming along with the 4 to 8 player raids, which are going to be awesome. Can't wait to play those on Warframe as well.
Yes, sir.
So we've definitely got some awesome content coming up to look forward to. But yeah, in the meantime, a ton of stuff to do. I'm still working on leveling up a ton of different stuff, polarizing my frames to make them even stronger. And man, busy, busy, busy. Warframe's been keeping me busy. And then on top of that, I got other games I got to review. And
Hmm.
sometimes I'm playing this game or that game to review, and I'm like, man, I wish I was playing Warframe right now instead.
You too?
Yeah. So yeah, but it is what it is. And I think with that, we could pretty much wrap up the show for this week. It's actually been a pretty awesome episode, and we'll definitely
Yes,
catch
sir.
y'all next time. Hope you guys enjoyed all the reviews and our little talk about the Joe Madden stuff and Alan Wake. And we will, yeah, probably about a week or 2 weeks from now, we will catch y'all in the next episode.
Peace.
Frag Radio.